Hello everyone and welcome to today's virtual event. I am Pritesh Chauhan, the Head of Community at Sedex, and I'm excited to introduce you to the Sedex Community Engagement Programme. Whilst we wait a couple of minutes to allow for others to join, we're going to run a quick poll on Slido to see where you are joining us from today. Details are on the screen now. You can log in easily via a browser or just take a picture of the QR code on your phone. And whilst you tell us where you are, we'll run through a bit of housekeeping for today's session. Those of you who would prefer to listen in Mandarin, you can switch language channels to hear live interpretation. Today's session is being recorded and we'll be sharing a link with you afterwards. We welcome you to revisit this and share it with your colleagues. Throughout the event, we invite your questions, so please use the Q&A tab on Slido to share them, and we'll be looking at them at the end of the session. Today, you're going to hear from the Director of Member and Customer Relations at Sedex, Allison Hudson. Hayley Scott from Agility Logistics is going to share his views on community and the industry engagement. I'll share with you the details of the Community Engagement Programme and how you can get involved. And we have some messages from a couple of key Sedex champions across the APAC region. Alison will then be speaking with Katie Naggs, one of our newly appointed member directors. And after that, we've got some time to respond to your questions. As I mentioned, put these on Slido. And we'll close with a short survey where you can tell us what you think. So before I hand over to Alison, let's have a quick look to see where everyone is joining us from today. I know that our virtual presenters are in 4 different time zones, which is cool, and we've got lots of different countries there, all the way from the UK, Singapore, Australia and China. So it's great to have such a spread here today. I'm going to hand over to Alison.
Well, thank you, Pritesh, and welcome everyone. Thank you on behalf of the Sedex business for joining our event today, wherever you are in the world. It's great to see so many of you here with us, and hopefully not too far in the distant future we'll be able to come together face to face. Just a few words from me today before I hand back over to Pritesh and our guest speakers. We're excited to share with you today our vision for the Community Engagement Programme. As part of the Sedex 2025 strategy, we committed to building a strong community network that would engage locally and globally to ensure that we hear the voices of all of our customers. The community aims to bring together our customers, our audit partners, stakeholders and other experts to share, provide insights, listen and learn. The community will also enable Sedex to engage with more of our customers on a global level, to really understand and get your input so we can develop the tools and services that will meet the needs of your business and support your business goals. Over my years at Sedex, I've seen many occasions the power of collaboration, when you all sit in a room together peer to peer, and in most recent times, mostly online, but you discuss those common challenges, those hot topics, and you share ideas, or your peer shares with you something that they've implemented within their business to address a challenge. You enrich each other with your knowledge and your insights, and you enrich Sedex also. The last time I was able to travel with business, I joined the Southeast Asian conference in Bangkok. Now that is over 2 years ago now. This was a 2-day event and it was amazing to be part of this event and watch our customers interact with each other, the stakeholders and the experts and Sedex in the room. But it was day 2 of the conference that I will always remember. The ILO and Sedex held a joint workshop led by Walter Lynn and other key stakeholders and attended by around 50 of our customers. Local and industry experts supported the event with interactive and engaging sessions to build capacity and raise awareness. However, for me, the power really came from the engagement with each other. People were in small groups on tables, openly discussing challenges that they faced with their peers and sought advice and input from those peers. These conversations were open, they were honest, and it's only when we're honest and we bring these issues to the table that we can work together to look to address them. So many positive examples were also shared on that day. No matter how small or how large, customers were willing to kind of give their time and their input to share with others and come together for the common good to address some of these challenges. Sedex works with over 60,000 organisations globally, and you all have a unique understanding of your own business, your own industry and your region, and the challenges that you face. But many of these will be common challenges. And this is where we believe to provide a space to bring you together, to share, to learn, is a great starting place to resolving some of these challenges and driving improvements. But also for Sedex to really support you in building the tools and services that you need to do your job effectively. As I said, only a few minutes from me for now. We have a number of great speakers joining the session today that will share their experience and what community means to them. We hope that you found today of value, and I would actively encourage all the feedback that we can possibly get to improve this programme, but also for you to get involved over the next 6 to 12 months. Thank you for your time, and I will hand back over to Pritesh.
Thanks, Alison, for sharing the vision and the support up until now. Before I introduce our next speaker, I'm going to open a poll for a couple of minutes to ask you, in 3 words or less, what does community mean to you? I'll reveal your responses after the next presentation. I'd like to now introduce Mr. Hardial Singh from Agility Logistics. When I was searching for Sedex buyer members who proactively use Sedex platform in APAC region, one name kept coming up, and it was Agility Logistics. I'm really pleased that Hardial is here today to talk to you about community and industry engagement. Hi, Hardial.
For inviting me to be part of this very thrilling event. I will share in this session our exciting win-win approach, community and industry engagement the agility way. My name is Hardial Singh, and I am the Regional Director for Quality and Business Excellence. I'm involved in driving excellence in quality, environmental, health, safety, and security management system and processes within the Agility group of companies. I'm also involved in what we believe we need to be always relevant and learn from the community in our excellence journey. As part of the Singapore Standardization Program, Agility has representation on the Technical Committee, Quality and Core Business Processes. I also sit on the various working groups, the Quality Management, Environmental, Health and Safety Management System groups with the Singapore Standardization Program. Besides being involved in the international standard, Agility is also active in the various industry associations. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Transported Asset Protection Association. This is a unique global forum that brings together manufacturers, logistic providers, freight carriers, law enforcement agencies, and other stakeholders to reduce the losses from the international supply chain. Who is Agility? We have a global presence in 100 countries with 500 offices and a manpower strength of 26,000 plus employees, revenue of 5 billion and 60,000 customers. We move about 800,000 TEU for ocean freight, about 380,000 tons of air freight, handle over 740 road shipments, and have a footprint of almost 2.2 million storage space for our contract logistic business. Agility offers 2PL, 3PL, and 4PL services through its portfolio of companies, which are leaders in emerging market and digital logistic innovation. Agility Global Logistics is one of the world's top freight forwarders and providers of contract logistics offering ocean, air, and road freight, warehousing, and distribution. We offer fuel logistics, commercial real estate, and facility management, and many more solutions through our subsidiaries. We are pioneers in emerging markets and one of the largest private owners and developers of warehousing and light industry parks in the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and Africa. And lastly, we offer e-commerce logistics, last-minute delivery, and digital freight forwarding through our Shipper platforms. Okay, now let me share with you what is so exciting about our community industry engagement. Agility's Fair Labor Program, about 10 years, we put it into place 10 years ago, signals to all our stakeholders and the community at large that we are responsible corporate citizens because we believe global presence comes with global responsibility. Our global human rights policy covers all areas of the Ethical Trade Initiative base code, has 8 key areas. We have aligned these key areas to the SAMHITA methodologies. Our goals for human rights protections are such that all countries where we have presence need to assess and account for the human rights risk in their supply chain. Key people are human rights trained using our Fair Labor Program, aligned with the ETI base code and SAMHITA. On a voluntary basis, we use SAMHITA to evaluate our management processes and track performance for our Fair Labor Program, our occupational health and safety, and the environment. The key here is we are meeting SAMHITA requirement to ensure that our stakeholders out there, the community at large, our partners have confidence that our systems are robust, sustainable, and quality assured. Okay, let's look at what we think about community engagement and our Target Zero vision. Our Target Zero is Agility's incident and accident-free brand. We believe we are here to build a resilient culture through our belief that it is ethically unacceptable to allow unsafe practices and any unsafe working environment. Right from the top person in Agility, we believe we need to protect the well-being, health, safety, security, and the assets of all our stakeholders. Very, very ambitious goal. All ambitious goals demand best practice, we believe. We need to benchmark excellence. Best practice grows from experience. We learn from the best. We learn from practices which has been tested, and we look at it as an opportunity to replicate the success. We also believe best practices captures broader industry and community interests, delivering a company and community win-win situation. How is Agility doing this? We are members of the ISO mirror groups in some countries, contributing to a development of standards, the ISO 9000 Quality Management Series of Standards, the Environmental ISO 14000 Series of Standards, and the Occupational Health and Safety ISO 45000 Series of Standards. We are also active in the industry, association like the Transported Asset Protect Association. We are involved with them to help to develop the TAPA supply chain security standard, and we use these standards. We encourage our suppliers and our partners to use these standards. Why is community engagement important to Agility? We adopt the Sedex tools and services voluntarily to improve our Fair Labor Program, our environmental management system and processes, our occupational health and safety management system and processes. We engage our stakeholders in the drive for system and process improvement because we believe we need to recognize and champion the importance of sharing, learning from best practices, and to ensure to cultivate a learning culture. We believe that the highest performance is achieved when everyone is constantly learning. When we learn as an organization, when we drive towards a common objective. We today, after Sedex reached out to us, are very excited about the opportunity brought forward by the Sedex Community Engagement Program. Two questions come to our mind immediately. How can Agility benefit? How can we leverage on the opportunity being offered by Sedex to us on this unique opportunity? How can we maximize our win-win opportunity that we have today? Okay, that's all I have, British. Thank you.
For sharing your story and experience with us today. It's much appreciated. If there are any questions for Herdiel, please put them on Slido and we'll come back to them in a little while. But I really appreciate you taking the time today to share your first-hand experience with us. I'd like to now take you through the Sedex Community Engagement Programme. I joined Sedex at the beginning of this year to meet the need to better support members, partners and key stakeholders as our community continues to grow. We have listened, heard and seen the increased appetite and engagement amongst members to learn from each other, share challenges and collaborate on identifying solutions. The Sedex Stakeholder Forum, or SSF, I can never say it, as it's lovingly known, ran successfully over a few years and realised the potential of coming together with peers and organically created a mini community. During the pandemic, this activity stopped and gave us a chance to review and reflect on how we can evolve to a truly global programme that is inclusive of our members and stakeholders. To better understand the varying needs amongst our broad, global and diverse ecosystem, I set about speaking to a cross-section of members alongside running a survey to understand how the community can better support your organisations. We are all part of several different communities from where we live, our clubs or hobbies, or our social media communities, and therefore we all have slightly different understanding of what community means. So before I share the definition that we created at Sedex for the Sedex community, let's have a look at some of the things that you said community means for you. So the biggest one that comes out is probably the obvious one, engagement and collaboration, which is great. Having the same goal, having common goals and ideas, sharing and supporting. Neighbourhoods, so where we live, is great. The people around us. The world is quite macro view, but then caring and family and learning together is all there. So, you know, we feel like it's generally aligned to where we are. And here's the definition that we've created for what the Sedex community means. The Sedex community is a collaborative community supporting those discovering, learning, building and leading the way in responsible business. The community is a collective of motivated organisations, employees and individuals from around the world and various industries, working, meeting and growing together. It's a place for insights, proven case studies, developing practical solutions and a safe space to share challenges and stories. To support how we bring this to life, we posed a few more questions, and here are some of the key takeaways that we heard. When asked what the benefits are of being part of Sedex, 75% saw the value in hearing best practice examples and learning at webinars. 58% felt that support in specific problem solving and peer-to-peer insights was valuable for them, and 40 to 50% told us that peer-to-peer workshops and networking are important. In light of the changes of how we all communicate, we heard that online forums such as virtual events, webinars and online chats are preferred methods, with in-person events an option when it's safe and reasonable to do so. Pre-pandemic, Sedex was heavily focused on in-person events, and even though the value of that cannot be replaced, what we've all seen and learned is that when people work from home and can't travel, they can connect and collaborate in different ways, which is a lot more inclusive and accessible. We also asked what you'd expect from the Sedex community, and the top 3 things shared were learning and capacity building, peer-to-peer collaboration, and best practice sharing. Now, I appreciate this is only a small cross-section of our members, and as we build and work closer with more of you, we'll be conducting future surveys to ensure that we capture more of your views to inform our activity going forward. To build this programme, we took what we heard and aligned it to our strategic direction and created the foundations for the Sedex community. The 3 pillars for the community are to educate, meet and promote individually, as peers, as verticals, or as regions, both online and in person. The community will look to educate members by identifying learning and capacity building opportunities, knowledge sharing amongst the community, and utilising thought leaders from Sedex and our wider ecosystem to support differing responsible sourcing journeys. We will, over time, include resources, FAQs, and online forums. An example of this is creating meetings where new members dealing with the complexities of completing the self-assessment questionnaire can hear from organisations who have a deep experience with the SAQ for tips and learnings. And also for Sedex to understand some of your challenges and identify ways to make improvements in our tools. The second pillar is to meet. We will bring together like-minded members who want to address common challenges with others. For best practice sharing, face-to-face meetings, regionally specific events, virtual events and webinars, as well as creating online communities and leveraging the annual Sedex conference. And we will promote community activity and champions, supporting active, proactive and impactful members by putting you in the spotlight through case studies, interviews, thought leader positions, offering speaker opportunities, and eventually creating a Sedex Champions program. No matter how big or small your organization, we want to hear about your achievements and we want to help you share those successes. So what is the Sedex Community Engagement Program in reality? Working across the business with input from some of our key stakeholders, we have identified a number of activities accommodating regions and time zones with different engagement opportunities over the next 12 months. Each month there will be a calendar of events that you can register activity on. They include hearing updates from the Sedex executive team or quarterly having the opportunity to ask your questions directly to them. There will be webinars and workshops around key focus areas such as gender, health and safety, business ethics, and forced labour. There will be opportunities to get product and platform updates and look at specific focus areas on upcoming releases. Regional events such as exploration events around new topics, supplier-only workshops, country-specific conferences, and targeted focus groups. And we will aim to hold regional events in your time zones and, where possible, in local languages. In the first iteration, the Sedex Community Engagement Programme will be sent out to Sedex members, partners and key stakeholders in a PDF form where you'll be able to see the details of each event and register any that you think will be of interest. And in the coming months, we'll be evolving that to an online digital calendar that will allow you to register for events as we continue to add them. As we work through the first few months of the events, we will learn and evolve with you, developing this programme with your support through ideas, feedback and questions, so please share them as they'll be extremely valuable. We'll also be introducing an online Sedex community for members in the next few months that will allow you to have an always-on discussion, regionally specific spaces, as well as creating forums and discussions between peers around common challenges and guidance. As we create these online forums, we will communicate these with you and invite you to get involved. But the most valuable part of the Sedex community, being at the centre of all these discussions and interactions, whether they are open forums or closed-door settings, is the ability to connect you all with each other, distill the insights and learnings into not only products and services that we create at Sedex, but across the community to help us all gain deeper knowledge as a group and continually learn, as Herdiel mentioned earlier. The online hub will play a big role in this, and what this means is if you can't attend an event in a different region, we'll share the outputs and learnings from those sessions to the wider community to make insights more accessible. We'll share them via newsletters, recordings, and other various content outputs. So we'll share the program with you where you can get the links and register for upcoming events tomorrow. If you have any initial questions about this, don't forget to put them on Slido for now or send them through to us at community@sedex.com. Happily moving on to the next segment of our agenda. I'm very excited to welcome some of our regional Sedex champions to share their views on what it means to be part of the Sedex community and what they are looking forward to. First, we have Prad Kurdipoj, Director of Sustainability Asia, Thai Union. Hi Prad, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Welcome to our event.
Thank you. So thank you so much for inviting me, and glad to meet you, you all within the Sedex community. So Thai Union is a global seafood leader. We have been in business for almost over 40 years, and we are a leader in sustainability and innovations. But being part of community, we know that there is still a lot of sustainability challenge that we need to meet in the next 5 years of our next phase strategy. So that's what really keeps me excited about being part of this community, because being in community, for me, it's also about being connected, being humble, being able to share what we have done well, but to learn areas where we need to improve. And I'm glad to be connected. And we know that we've been part of Sedex for, I think, almost over 10 years. I think it started in 2010. And we benefit in many ways, being connected to buyers, peer suppliers, making seamless connection and facilitation and understanding on social compliance. It also helps to reduce things like audit redundancy, etc. So make things easier for the business. And really things like innovation around your trial of virtual remote audits, etc. So that's an area of excitement. So I think thank you again, and thank you for inviting me. I look forward to being part of this community.
Thanks, Prad. Thanks for being here. I'd like to now introduce Bhawna Yadav, Social and Human Rights Manager at Reckitt. Good afternoon, Bhawna.
Hi. Hi, Pradesh. Thank you for having me here. As Prad has already said, and you have already said, now Reckitt has been part of Sedex for a decade now, and since I'm really excited to be in this journey of community, because one of the compass of Reckitt itself is to build shared success, and which we actually take when it comes to Sedex, interacting with like-minded people, sharing the similar goals, and working more efficiently. And we had done it in the recent past also, especially when it comes to Malaysian part, where it's ethical recruitment. And I think Sedex had played a really important role in identifying, and not only identifying, but in collaboration with the peer group, like bringing together all those who are actually facing the same issues, and reaching the success, reaching the goal, and efficiently, both in time as well the other means. So I am really looking forward for this community, because as I'll not go into definition because so many people have already said it, but I do believe that that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I think that is what brings me when it comes to community. And I always want to, hear and learn more in this. I look forward to all this. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhawna. Thank you for sharing your views. Next, we're going to move to a video message that we have from Walter Lin, who is the Managing Director for Asia at Sedex.
Hi everyone, this is Walter from Sedex. Thank you so much for Pratesh to invite me to join such kinds of session, which I can be able to see our members in Asia Pacific region virtually. Although we have met some of our members in different countries before the COVID, but it's really nice to see everyone from here today. I guess we talk about the community, and I think as a membership organization like Sedex, it's very important. Sedex can play an important role which can connect people from the different parts of the world together to really talk about response sourcing, response supply chain, and the day-to-day challenges in the ground. I think it's very important we need to bring different players in the supply chain together to have the conversation. For example, we can bring our buy members, which is brands and retailers, but also we can bring their suppliers, which is manufacturers, small and medium-sized enterprises. They can join the community, they can be able to networking each other, they can share the best practice, but also the common challenges in different markets. Before COVID-19, we already implement and run different types of the conference in different countries, for example, in Thailand, in Malaysia, and also in China as well. But we do offer like a small scale type of the meetings, which we can bring members to really to talk about any topics relevant to their markets. For example, maybe forced labors in Malaysia. We talk about the international trade and how may that impact for the global sourcing, something like that. So I guess it's very important Sedex can officially to launch the community for different regions and different markets, so our member can once again to be able to share the best practice from their operation, but also they can share their concerns and their worries and anything they are not sure, which can share with their other members, so people can utilize the community, can really to talk and looking for some solution and better ways. So I hope everyone can enjoy this kickoff event today, but looking forward to working more closely with all of you in the near future. because as you see, we are going to have a series of the different type of events, forums, or the online meetings, which we can connect all of the buyer, supplier, and also the other partners in the supply chain to working together. So thank you so much, and then have a good day.
Thank you, Walter. Next, we have Hayley Scott, Social Procurement Manager at Wink Australia, joining us from Melbourne. After this message, you'll see Alison again, who'll be having a conversation with Katie. Hi, Hayley.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Hayley Scott, and I'm from Wink in Australia. So I've used the Sedex platform for over 10 years across probably 5 different businesses. So I've seen the transformation of the system capability throughout the years. And since joining Wink in October last year, I've switched our social compliance program to align with the Sedex system so that we can use the tools available to develop a deeper understanding of our supply chain and benchmark against others in our industry. I find that the multi-tier supply chain visibility provided by the tools are the best in market. So it's been really great for me to see how many of our suppliers are already Sedex members, and it makes that conversion so much easier for us. And I've also found that the guidance and available tools have been great for those who are still developing in their compliance journey and aren't really sure how to start, where to go. So by showing them the tools that are out there, it's been really great for us and makes that communication really easy. So I really believe that convergence to a common system will raise the floor and the ceiling of living and working standards throughout our supply chain. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Sedex tools will develop over the coming years and how this new engagement program, we can work together to collectively shape what the industry needs. So I'm really looking forward to working with everyone, and thank you again for inviting me along.
And thank you to all of our guest speakers and giving up your time and sharing your views and experience. It's great to see you here today. Well, for the next phase, I'm going to be in discussion with Katie Naggs, who's the Group Ethical Sourcing Manager at Costa and our newly elected Member Director. So welcome to Katie.
Thank you, Alison.
I can hear you. I can see you now. Fabulous. Well, again, Katie, congratulations on your appointment to the Sedex board. Yeah, really great that we're working closely with you for you to represent the members and the needs moving forward. So, and thank you again for your time today. Apologies, everyone. Katie, I can see Katie here, but I know the camera's here. So if I'm looking away from the camera, it's because I'm looking at Katie. So, Katie, this is really an opportunity, really, for you and I to have a chat and for me to really understand from you what community means. So, I guess my first question to you, Katie, is that question: what does community mean to you? And what positive impact or role can it play for you and your business?
Gosh, thanks, Alison. You've rolled a whole load of questions into one there. I think before I start, I'll just do a little bit of an introduction, which is, or setting the scene. I have worked within the fresh produce sector, or should I say the food sector, for over 20 years now, starting within the UK retail market. So I was on Sedex in 2005 when it first launched, working with farms in the UK. And I've been through that kind of cycle of moving into retail, and now I'm back in fresh produce. So I am based in Australia, and how I'm going to phrase or answer my question to Alison is that kind of evolution that I've seen and where we are currently in the market.
Great.
So the first part of the question, what does community mean to me? So I'm going to give a slightly different answer to all the ones that have been gathered so far. And Alison, feel free to interrupt me at any time, okay? But for me, community is actually a great untapped resource and a great potential for shared learning. So everyone on the call has something in common, or we all have a common interest, and that's Sedex. Now, when I started using Sedex back in 2005, I was sat with a number of farms in the UK, and we were only doing it because a retailer told us to do it. So there was no reason as a business to actually go on board. It was something that we'd been told to do. And it was that horrible term that I now use. It was tick box compliance. And that's what we did. Alison's trying not to laugh at this point. But
No, but I think it is felt by a number of our members as well, Katie. So it's great to have that discussion, be open.
Yeah, and we did it because we were told to do it, and we didn't see a benefit in doing it. But from moving from the supply chain into retail, with that understanding of how a supplier approached Sedex, I think that's when the importance of collaboration came in, and that importance of community. So having that understanding of why people were using it. And for a retailer, that doesn't benefit your business if your supply chain is just doing it because they're told to. Ethical sourcing, you need to work together and you need to work collaboratively. And that's what I very much brought into it in that kind of latter period I had in the UK. I think now being in Australia, and although Sedex has been around for a while, within the fresh produce sector, it hasn't really been implemented until the last couple of years. So if I work with a farm in Australia about Sedex, it's very much what's in it for me. How does it benefit me? So I've approached implementing Sedex very differently in Australia to how we did in the early days in the UK. And it's about, I work for Costa, who's one of the largest fresh produce companies in Australia. It's about implementing Sedex as a business benefit for you and the businesses you're working with. It's not that I have to do it for a retailer, so let's implement it. This is a business benefit for me, and I implement it with that vein and bring everyone on that. I'm going to use the term journey with me. But to do that takes community and collaboration. And for the last couple of years, my community and collaboration, I know Alex is on the call. I have used the Sedex team in Australia and the help desk to help support farms, whether it be on the phone via onboarding, registration on the phone. We've even had a farm in Western Australia onboarded via fax machine. So, we've really had to draw on the experience of the Sedex team and think broader than the platform in its face to kind of implement it. But it's also about the other businesses in Australia, so the other fresh produce businesses. They're in evolution. We have similar challenges. Everyone's on the same, let's say, level, but very much without the experience. So we can share that experience. So, for that community benefit for me, I have engaged with the other fresh produce businesses on an informal level. We set up our own little SSF, so the Sedex Stakeholder Forum, because when we implemented Sedex, we were on the old SAQ system. This was a legacy SAQ that was new to farms. They didn't really understand what ethical sourcing meant. And then suddenly, a few months down the line, we're giving them this great big new self-assessment questionnaire, which was very much for a business that had evolved through evolution. So there was a real challenge. But by bringing that community together of fresh produce businesses within Australia, we're able to go to Sedex and say, look, this is a collaborative group. What can we do? It's great that that's now evolving into the kind of APAC horticultural group. So, community to me, very long-winded answer. I do apologise, Alison, but it is all about that shared learning.
Yeah, that's great, Katie. I think some great insights there, and I think some great areas that people can actually resonate and appreciate with. Just to follow on from that theme, I guess you came from an established market and probably are now in a market that is developing still in some areas. What are those kind of key challenges that you've faced? And what are some of the things that you've looked to do to address them or still need addressing that you think community could potentially help?
Okay. Again, great question. Thank you very much for that.
Lots of questions in one.
Oh, yes. Well, I think the difference in market between the UK and Australia is about evolution of ethical sourcing. So very much in the UK market, it's about collaboration. The Ethical Trading Initiative has been established for a long time, but we don't really have that here. So it's been very much down to businesses working together and working with Sedex to a certain extent, but also working together on our own level. But I think things like the changes in the SAQ is a commonality that I don't think just exists in fresh produce. It's possibly other businesses as well. But it's something that I think the Sedex team and ourselves recognise it's something that we can work on together within the horticultural area, and community brings that. So the drawing on community to me, and how I've used that Sedex community to help this market I now found myself in, it's reaching out to the other member directors. One, because I had the connections, but also I knew that they sit on a strategic board for Sedex to understand, you know, there are real challenges in emerging markets that not necessarily still exist within the UK or Europe. Alison, again, yourself, I'm very lucky that I've had that connection and that knowledge that I know I can go directly to you with the help of Alex if there is a real market issue that someone needs to speak up about. And it's one of the reasons why I became a member director. So it's very easy for me to sit here throwing grenades, let's say, and not doing anything about it. And I saw that there was a real market need for Australia, or shall I say the APAC region, to be represented. And I'm very fortunate and very grateful for everyone on this call for pushing me in the position that I'm in. And hopefully, you know, I can do what we need to do for this market and ensure representation. But Alison, I'm actually going to turn this conversation on its head.
Oh.
And ask you a question.
Thanks, Katie.
We are a global, you know, organisation, or Sedex is a global organisation, but definitely not Australia. A lot of the feedback I get from the people I work with is it's in the UK. I pay in pounds. It's a UK organisation. So I think my question to you is, what else is Sedex doing to help move that attitude away from this is the UK? And this is actually a global organisation now that we're all part of, and want to be working as a community. So over to you, Alison.
Thanks, Katie. I mean, a great question. I think we certainly recognise at Sedex that, you know, our roots are from the UK, but actually we work with businesses and members on a global basis. And how do we then move our business to really support our customer, member, stakeholder network on that global basis? And it's not an overnight process. I guess there's a number of areas that we're looking to work on now, and how we evolve that in the future. I guess the first thing I'm going to say is probably our big starting point is about our global engagement programme that is being led by Pratesh. Previously, our engagement programmes have been probably more UK, EU specific, and one of the key drivers is really to be able to build that engagement and get to the voices and get those understandings of our customers on a global level. And I guess to your point, Katie, that it's great that you have access, or you feel that you have access to me and Alex, but maybe not some of all of our members feel that they have that access. So how can we kind of use the community engagement programme to give that accessibility to all of our members at a global level that can drop in and get that access that they need? So I think that's probably the first part. As you're aware, we're currently implementing our 2025 strategy and in the process of building our brand new platform. And I think technology can help. So I think from a technology point of view, we need to ensure that the tools and the services operate successfully and robustly in the areas in which you are in, and the technology will be built on that, but also about accessibility. And again, this probably comes back to your point, Katie, that, you know, we've worked with Alex at supporting a farmer using a fax machine. I think we recognise that the different constituents of our members around the globe need to access Sedex in various different ways. So how do we broaden that, those mechanisms of how they can access through technology, whether that's on mobile devices or whatever that looks like. So we're really kind of focused in really taking our platform and accessibility to that global stage. I mean, to date, we have the presence now in China, Japan, Australia, India, the UK and LATAM, and over the next 12 to 18 months we will be exploring further, are there further opportunities where Sedex needs to have a presence in different regions or countries to support that kind of growing member base. And I guess As it stands at the moment, our member services team around the globe do support 18 languages. Now, that may not sound a lot, but it probably does represent 80–85% of our member base, and we'll continue to invest in that offering. And I guess the final point, and probably leading this all, is we have changed, or there's a new composition of the Sedex board. Katie, you've joined, and we've had Michelle join to represent North America. So actually the business is really moving to position itself as a global business and moving out of that kind of UK area. Again, not an overnight process. And we are still a small business, so we really do need to think where can we support the most and have the most impact, but absolutely commitment from Sedex, the board, the team, regional, to be able to support our members on a global basis. Great. Well, that's our time up, Katie. Thank you so much. Always great to talk to you. And again, congratulations for your appointment onto the Sedex board and taking the time to share your insight. And I will now hand back over to Pratesh. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Alison.
Thanks, Alison. Thanks, Katie. I found that really interesting, and I'm sure our viewers online did too. Now we're going to just jump into a bit of a Q&A session. Rachel's been helping us. We've been having a look. There's a couple of questions for you, and I'm going to take a couple. But whilst we do that, and before you leave, can I ask you to take a couple of minutes to tell us what you think about today in a very short survey that's now on Slido. Your thoughts will help shape our future engagements with you and give us an idea of how we can better support you through the Sedex community. So I'm just going to pull up the first question, Alison, and in no particular order, how will the work in the community feed into the Sedex strategy? We've discussed this at length, so any views you'd like to share on that?
I guess it underpins this Sedex strategy. We are a membership organisation for our members, driven by our members, and the community engagement programme is about getting closer to our members. We've touched on throughout this session about the ability to kind of convene, discuss topics, issues, but also really hearing your voices in what's important to you, what's the direction of travel that you want Sedex to go in, where can we add the most value through the tools and the services for now and in the future. And I guess the community engagement programme is really about scaling up our ability to work closer with our members, prospective members, what are the opportunities in the market, and get that feed back into the business. So I think it's heavily supported by everybody within our business, and I think really does underpin the success of delivering the 2025 strategy.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. I'm going to take the next one, which is, will the regional events be conducted in Mandarin? So one of the things that we really acknowledged when I was doing a lot of the landscape research was in different regions there's different needs, there's different challenges, and there's different skills required. So when it's relevant and where we can facilitate, it would make sense to host events and roundtables and meetings in local languages. We obviously have to figure out how we manage that and how we can run that, but that is definitely the ambition, to have friendlier time zones and also have sessions in languages that are native, so that allows you to think and say what you really want to say and not get lost in translation. So it's definitely part of the plan, and over the next few months as we do some of these activities, we will get an idea of how feasible that is, what's working, and any thoughts on how you've seen that work in other areas would be really, really good to hear as well. I'm going to flip back to you for one more, Alison, and it is, will this replace the annual Sedex conference?
No. In short answer, no, absolutely not. This is just a continuation and involvement of the engagement that we already do. The Sedex annual conference, fingers crossed, whether it's in person or virtual. Actually, we've got a number of conferences, whether it's in APAC or Australia or the UK. But no, it does not replace it. It complements, and we'll absolutely use that that ability to bring people together through the conferences to, again, really think about how we can build that community out of the conferences.
Yeah, cool. And the last one that I'm going to take is, when will we hear more about the Sedex Champions program? As presented today, the community is built on 3 elements, so to educate, meet and promote, and we probably run them in that order. So we want to get the foundations right. We want to get some of these meetings and the opportunity to get back together right first. So we're going to prioritize them, and we'll build the program over the next 3 to 6 months and then look and see where we land. But we want to get people back together. We want to start hearing the insights and the challenges and really play that role that the community can. So it was coming, but bear with us, and we'll update you inevitably and include you in some of those thoughts as well. So that's our Q&A. If there's any more, you can always email us, but thank you for those questions. Also, thanks to our speakers for taking the time to join us today, and thank you for attending. In the next day or so, you'll receive the recording from today alongside the community engagement PDF for the next 3 months as discussed. It will have the links in it where you can register for any events that you would like and think are relevant to your company and organisation. If you would like to connect with any of today's speakers or have any more questions about the community, then you can email us at community@sedex.com. And please try and do the survey before you leave today. So thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.